Adoption? No, just a vigilante care program. By Orphaned Account, on AO3. Episode 2, Chapter 2. The raid was scheduled for a Wednesday night, shortly after midnight, so Shouta, Miss Joke, Mr. Brave, Bubble Girl, and Zementi were in a brief before the raid. Compared to normal nights, this was a large handful of heroes. However, the tension in the room was thick as they waited for Deku's arrival. For someone who always seemed to arrive early at crime scenes, he was late to this meeting. It had taken days of tracking down the guy and practically begging him to join. It took a lot of convincing, but eventually the man had agreed. And so that left the group with them waiting for Deku to come. It was an understatement to say that Shouta was worried he wouldn't show. Thankfully, a few minutes later, Deku came in, followed by one of the few officers on the case. His posture was awfully stiff and closed off. He didn't speak, but nodded in acknowledgement to the heroes. His left eye had a cut slightly above it, and the cut looked fresh. No doubt he came late to a fight then. Shouta took the lead and quickly debriefed the group. First things first, we want to stay as low as possible. No property damage. We don't need the public to know about this, which is why I need to remind you once again to finish this quickly with no destruction. Everyone nodded. They knew this already. Even if some of them were heroes who were well known, they all kept their property damage levels to a minimum. The correct were easy to maintain and control. I'll be honest, we don't really have that much. Our source only picked up the date and time. Regardless, whatever they're smuggling is dangerous and we should be careful. Shouta held out his hand. A young officer placed a folder into his hand. Shouta opened it. A few pictures from surveillance cameras appeared. These are the men we know things about. He pointed to a short brunette. This is Atio Akatana. His quirk is Whisper. He can release high-pitched sound waves, only for a few seconds at a time. He shoved it to the next picture, a woman with long red hair. Yui Hashimono. Her quirk allows her to expand her limbs. She can only expend one limb at a time. Shouta shuffled through the rest of the photos, explaining each of their quirks. Most of their ideas of their quirks were vague or unknown. This wasn't anything unusual for heroes. They were used to going in with very little information on situations. Then Deku leaned across the table and pointed at one of the pictures. Her quirk disorientates you, or does something to affect your brain. A few surprised looks came about. This paper has someone who witnessed her robbing a bank. That was her first crime, so I bet she wasn't aware of how important it was to keep your quirk hidden. The witness claimed people who tried to stop her just backed off. So it might be on a verbal command, but this witness says that she touched all of them, meaning it probably has something to do with touch. So if she touches you, she can mess with your head. The people who were hit say they don't remember much. However, I don't think it has anything to do with memory because they could still identify her and vaguely recall events that had happened afterwards. It makes most sense for it to be disorientation or something along those lines. It would be best to ignore her or apprehend her last. Her quirk won't be a problem unless she makes contact. Eraserhead could also use his capture gear to tie her up. Then we should... As he dived further into his explanation, his speech got quicker and quicker. Soon enough, he was muttering too fast for anyone to keep up. He kept to an abrupt stop. Once he seemed to realize nobody could understand him. Nobody moved a muscle as Deku finished his speech. It will make sense. I might be totally wrong, though. No, that all checks out, Miss Joke said with her trademark smile. Hey, Shouta. Find someone clever for once? Shouta simply grumbles in response. Do you think you could do better than all of them? They had quirk analysis on their team, but they were very new at their jobs. All the newbies were usually sent to the underground heroes. However, being a quirk analyst wasn't an easy job. Deku simply nodded, and he went through each of their known suspects. He provided a thorough analysis providing on the witness reports, any security footage. Safe to say, everyone was impressed. Once again, that feeling of pride came over Shouta. When they finally disembarked at the warehouse, it was a good hour or so later. They were going to have to stake the place out before they could make their move. Shouta had been placed with Deku. both the hero and the best known for their Quirk captures. They were to stay hidden, only joining the fight once they were in a frenzy. Then the two could quickly apprehend anyone there. They lapsed into comfortable silence. Well, almost silence. Deku kept shifting his feet. He was always moving. "Nervous?" he said as the younger man shifted again. "You can say that." They went back into silence, waiting. Finally, a large white van pulled in. A few people came out. A few wore masks, or some sort of disguise. Most did not bother hiding their identities. These were more of the men and women Shouta had already known they would be there. He heard the breathing of Deku gradually increase. He wasn't hyperventilating, but he didn't sound relaxed. Shouta knew he shouldn't talk. He wasn't supposed to do anything right now. They had to stay quiet and bide their time until the second group arrived for the deal. Once the exchange began, they could act, but Deku's breathing continued to get worse. He shifted as quietly as he could. "You have backup," Shouta whispered. Deku stiffened at the words. Shouta knew Deku had never had backup before, but he also never dealt with this big of a bust before. Deku seemed to keep his breathing in check as they waited for the other party to show. When they finally arrived, they all waited. Miss Joke was to make the first move. Once she did, the rest would follow. They waited patiently as the two gulfed men made conversation between the parties. One of them signaled to their truck. Shota's heart stopped for a minute as some lackey brought forth 5 children. This wasn't in their intel. Shouta couldn't see perfectly from where they were, but they couldn't be much older than 12 or 13. There were 3 girls and 2 boys. A woman came forward, and Shouta recognized her. Ichika Shiobata. She used to be a nurse, but was caught money laundering, and since then, she's been involved in a few crimes. She's been in and out of jail for the past 20 years or so. She pulled out a first aid kit and proceeded to do basic checkups on the kids. When she finished, she nodded to the man. His face was still covered. They took the kids to the other side of the room. This caused a shift in their plans. They now have to protect the civilians and apprehend the substeps. Shortly after, Miss Joke flew into action. Shouta quickly followed. He did his job, dodging from bullets and Quirk attacks. He tied up as many people as he could. After the initial minute or so of panic, he turned to the kids, only to find Deku already there. He was leading them away from the frenzy. Whatever anyone came too close, he would deal with the criminal, while trying to keep the kids safe. It wasn't the fastest or safest method, but everyone had their hands full. Before he knew it, the kids were out of the fighting range. Deku came back a few minutes later to assist them. That sent a stab of worry through Shouta. He shouldn't have left the kids unattended, but there was nothing he could do right now. A few close calls later, and a large majority of the two groups had been captured. Shouta left Miss Joke, Miss Brave, and the rest to manage the villains. He went to go find where the kids were. Where he found Deku, already returned to them. Deku was making large animated movements with his hands, and seemed to be talking to them. The kids, obviously terrified, didn't smile or acknowledge the vigilante. However, Deku didn't stop. He kept murmuring and made hand motions to the group. Shouta smiled fondly at the scene before he even noticed. He walked up until he was next to the little group. A few kids flinched, and one even yelped in fear. No, 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 no. Deku said, rather rushly, "It's okay, this is my friend." He brought a hand over to cover his mouth. "Want to hear a secret?" He whispered yelled to the kids. "He's a real hero. He knows Present Mike. They're best friends. Do you guys know who Present Mike is?" Before Shouta could even process that Deku had pieced together how close he and Hizashi were, the only kid that seemed relatively okay was asking him questions. Of course, it was Hizashi that would get them talking. Soon enough, they all wanted to know if they could be on Present Mike's radio show. Shouta wanted to give Deku a light glare for shoving all these kids on him, but the man was already gone. Shouta wished he could say he was surprised that the vigilante left so soon, but he really wasn't. As they all wrapped up the police work, Shouta made his way back home. Once there, he found Hizashi on the kitchen counter, grading papers. "Hey there." Hizashi greeted him with his usual smile. "Hi." Hizashi opened his mouth. Shouta assumed to ask about the deal, but Shouta kept talking. The vigilante hero Deku. Hizashi nodded to show he was listening. He's a good kid. Shouta reached over for the coffee pot, only for Hizashi to smack his hand away. You don't need coffee this late at night. He paused for a moment. Kid? Shouta gave Hizashi a confused look. I thought Deku was an adult. He is. Shouta confirmed, then hesitated. He reminds me of my class. I don't know why. He's more responsible and talented than most of my students right now. I don't even get him. Every vigilante has some huge message they want to spread. But this kid doesn't. He just deals with the crime and moves on. Shouta ran a hand through his dark locks. He isn't even stupid about it either. He only deals with small situations, the one he knows he can handle. All the big stuff he passes on to pros. He gave a long sigh. He's practically already the definition of an underground hero. I just don't get why he decided to become a vigilante. He could be helping more people if he got his license. Hizashi smiled. Shouta didn't talk much. When he did, though, he talked quite a bit. Sounds like you're worried. Hizashi chuckled lightly. I am worried. Some 20-year-old guy is beating up criminals with no backup or call for help. You never call for help, and rarely bring backup. Hizashi pointed out, only to have Shouta glare at him. Sorry, he said cheekily. He marked a few questions wrong on the test he was grading. You want to help the guy? A nod. So help him. How can I help someone who never sticks around long enough? Hizashi nodded into the living room, where the cat sat on the couch. He hated you. Hated people. Now look at her. Just do the same thing you did for her. Shouta gave Hizashi a deadpan look. Deku isn't a cat. No, but he could be looking for a mentor. Just get close to him slowly. You managed to get him on the deal tonight. That's progress. Just take your time and wait. Your stray will come soon enough. Shouta reached over to give him a light slap on the head. Yeah, whatever. He murmured, and then quietly, to himself, he whispered. A stray? Really, Hizashi? Yeah, hate to break it to you, he's not a 20-something-year-old. I don't know if he's 14 here, 15, he could be 13. For all we know, he could be 12. I once read one where Izuku was 10. It was a crack fic, clearly because only crack fics work like that. If I were to read a serious fic where Izuku is a 10-year-old vigilante, I would not believe jack shit of that shit. Okay, I don't believe it, okay? 12 is where it starts being valid. Mainly because I've seen some of the 12-year-olds. God fucking damn, motherfuckers are buff. I remember I was 12 and there was like an elective class where you could do just sports. And God fucking Christ, I don't know what the fuck they were feeding those kids. Still to this day, there's some 12-year-olds who are stronger than me. Like, what the Christ? There's some 12-year-olds who go to the gym and lift like 100 pounds. I could barely lift 30. Like, what the fuck is this? They could run like for 5 minutes and be perfectly chill. I run for a minute. No, not even run. I speed walk for 5 minutes and all of a sudden I'm passing out. Like, they be over here doing push-ups, lift-ups, squats, all that shit at 12. And I'm over here, if I stand up too fast, the world starts spinning. Okay, the world doesn't really start spinning, and it doesn't only start spinning like that. Normally, I start to pass out whenever I'm malnourishing my body, whenever I'm not eating enough. Right? Which makes sense. It's just, I could go one day without eating, and then the next day I'll start feeling the effects. Normally, you're supposed to, like, it's supposed to last a while before it actually starts affecting you and stuff. But now, if I miss a meal, my head starts hurting, I start feeling queasy, I start feeling horrible. My body is no longer allowing me to continue my bad habits. Well, I mean, I could skip 2-3 days. I start feeling it towards day 2. Don't ask how I know. Anyways, look, it was an accident. Look, it's Christmas Day. I'm recording this Christmas Day. Actually, technically speaking, it's the 26th now. 19 minutes into the 26th. Yeah, look at that. I'm being responsible. No, I'm not. I'm trying to get ahead because I know I'm not going to be here for Thanksgiving. Not what? What? New Year's? What the fuck? Echo, what am I thinking? Okay. Oh shit, I got auditions tomorrow. Yeah, because I am... leaving the 31st and I'm coming back the 2nd. Early in the morning, right? But still. So I need those 3 days to be locked in, right? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit, I got 4 days. I gotta lock in. I gotta lock in. Like, I can't fuck around now. I gotta fucking lock in. Otherwise, I ain't gonna make it. So I'm gonna lock in. That, or I'm just gonna have to take those 4 days off. Ugh, I really don't want to do that, though. That's my New Year's resolution, by the way. My New Year's resolution is, 1, actually use my goddamn checking app, my little fidget, because I do it so I could eat, but and do basic stuff. Okay, as horrible as that sounds, I sometimes forget to do basic shit, like eat, or stuff. Like, I get so overwhelmed with what I need to do that I don't do shit, right? So I need that app. But mostly I want to get this. I want to get my 3 days already good, 2 weeks ahead, by March, by my birthday, 2 weeks ahead. I want to have not Fluffy Men, Fanfiction Club locked and loaded. I've been lacking on that shit, and I know, guys, I've been lacking on that shit. I'm trying to get it locked and loaded so that I could start my next one. And then I can start my next one and my next one and my next one. But I gotta have that shit locked and loaded. But I don't have it locked and loaded. And that is on me. And I need to get it locked and loaded. And that shit's on me. And that's on me. As I said. It's on what? It's on me. Anyways. I don't have much to say other than this was really fun. I really enjoyed this. As I said, I don't have much to say. It was a really cool fic. I really liked this chapter. Not much I could say other than Izuku obviously being really good at quirk analysis and analysis overall and stuff like that. Obviously there was that one slip up with him leaving the kids by themselves, but we'll just say that it's lack of training and stuff. But for lack of training, he's pretty good. I'll say that. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.